Hi everyone, it's me, Coach Shiv, again with part 3 of my Facebook Live challenge. Today I want to talk about self-confidence and self-esteem. Now, often these two terms are used together because they're quite similar, but they're also different. Self-confidence is our trust in ourselves to do a specific task. And self-confidence is generally specific to that task or that environment. For instance, it could be a musician who's very confident playing music, but not as confident when it comes to probably public speaking. Or it could be a sportsman who's very confident on the sports field, but not so confident when it comes to writing an exam. And confidence and success, they seem to share a catch-22 sort of relationship. Because when you have a lot of success, you become more confident. But in order to be successful, you need confidence. So a bit like the chicken and the egg, which comes first. And self-confidence comes situationally, as we spoke earlier, that it's related to a specific task or a specific skill. So it's outward facing. But when it comes to self-esteem is more about how do we appraise or value our own worth. So it's overarching. And it's inward facing. Self-esteem is about how do we emotionally relate to ourselves. Often self-esteem is the filter that we use in all our interactions in the world, anyway, with anyone. So it's the emotional relationship that we share with ourselves. And if we choose to undervalue ourselves, rest assured the world's not going to come and raise that value. Think of it like this. If you were in a shop and someone was selling you something that you were interested in and you thought it was a bargain price, you're not likely to tell the seller, hey, you're selling it too cheap. I should be paying you more. Right? And therefore, self-esteem becomes critical. And my own experience with low self-esteem was, very glaring when I was new here in New Zealand and I just couldn't get an interview call. I actually counted 200 rejection letters. So you can imagine what that did to my self-confidence and my self-esteem. All kinds of self-doubts started coming up in my head. Am I useless? Am I really that unemployable that people don't even want to call me for an interview? Am I in the wrong country? Did I make the wrong move? All kinds of doubts. So low self-esteem can be very damaging. A quote by Maxwell Maltz, a famous author, is that low self-esteem is like driving through life with your handbrake on. So you're never going to get any traction. And Eleanor Roosevelt, her quote was that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Because we choose how we react to people's comments. And this is becoming all the more important in today's world of social media. What with trolls and so on. So if we allow that to get to us, then obviously our self-esteem gets compromised. I have a list that I've made for myself for improving self-confidence and self-esteem. And I'd love to share that with you now. So, number 1 for me was to use the power of visualization. That's kind of like the fake it till you make it strategy, which of course works to a certain degree. It could work in a specific instance, like if you were going for an interview, then you pep yourself up. But visualization in general works towards making your mind your ally instead of the mind being your enemy. Now, who wouldn't want that, right? The next point I had was practice affirmations and gratitudes. If we can learn to be grateful for what we have, it makes a massive difference to our self-esteem. The next on this list is learn new things on a regular basis. There's enough medical research to suggest that when you learn new things, there is reprogramming of your neural pathways in your brain. So your subconscious mind is being reprogrammed. Works wonders for confidence and self-esteem. The next point I had on this list is be kind to yourself. Every time we have thoughts like, I'm useless, I'm never going to be doing this anymore because it's really not me, or I'm not capable of this, I'm stupid. Just think about, would you say those things to your best friend? You wouldn't, right? We're not that nasty. So if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, why would you say it to yourself? And Louise Hay had a good quote there where she mentioned that, if you've been critical of yourself for years and you've noticed that it hasn't been working, how about you try being more approving of yourself and see what happens? Next on the list was celebrate your small wins. Yes, we should be focused on the big goal, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't celebrate the small wins, because celebrations release feel-good chemicals. The dopamines and the serotonins, they get released into our bloodstream. So let's make use of that. The next I had here was help someone else. This worked for me big time when my self-esteem was battered. I started volunteering when I couldn't get an interview call when I was new here. I just went out and volunteered with no expectations. And it really worked for my self-esteem. I started feeling good about myself. I started feeling useful. And it gave me some local work experience. So it was a twofold benefit to me. The next one I had here is practice self-care. A lot of us tend to wear ourselves out for others, but we don't look after ourselves. And remember, if you remember the safety instructions on board a plane, they talk about the oxygen mask dropping in the event of low pressure. They put it to yourself first, and then attend to anyone else, even if it's your own children. So let's remember that for life. The next one I had here was learn to say no. Often we take on too much, more than we can handle. We bite off more than we can chew because we're not willing to say no, or even afraid to say no. But when we take on too much, we probably don't produce results that we consider as good enough. And guess what that does to our confidence and self-esteem? On the way down, right? And finally, the point I had here was stop comparing yourself to others. We all have our own journeys. We can learn from others. We can be inspired by others, but their journeys are different. So don't compare and beat yourself up. Well, friends, I hope you found something useful in today's FB Live of mine. I'd love to hear from you. And the question I'd leave for you at the end of this is, if we took our self-esteem spectrum from 1 to 10, 1 being very low and 10 being overinflated. Now remember, overinflated self-esteem is not good either. because then we become cocky, arrogant, condescending to others. So we need to have it at a healthy rate. So if we took the self-esteem spectrum as 1 to 10, where would your self-esteem lie? I would say mine is around 7, 7.5 at the current time. So I'm pretty happy with where my self-esteem rests at the moment. But I'd love to know about yours. Do let me know. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.